For people from remote Indigenous communities, the diagnosis of kidney failure often means moving far from home to have life-saving dialysis. While health authorities are trying to increase the number of people who can do their own dialysis at home, many patients rely on nurses for treatment. Some communities are so concerned about the increasing number of people leaving because of kidney failure that they've rallied to set up their own dialysis clinics. Alison Middleton reports.
Lachlan Ross comes to this renal unit in Darwin for life-saving treatment 5 hours a day, 3 times a week.
Hey Lachlan, come on in. Getting ready to go home?
Yes.
His kidneys are failing and he needs dialysis to take over the job of filtering toxins from his blood.
I've had kidney failure and I've had it for about 3 years, I think.
I'm just going to check your blood pressure.
Lachlan Ross is from Lajamanu, a remote community on the northern edge of the Tanami Desert, about 900 kilometres south of Darwin.
So, yeah, everything looks really good, Lachlan. So I'll give you...
He had to move north 3 years ago to have dialysis.
It was sort of strange, you know.
And that's it.
First time for me and frightening as well. I miss a lot of things, my family and a lot of community activities like ceremonies and funerals.
Until now, Lachlan Ross could go home for only days at a time before he had to return to Darwin for treatment. A new dialysis unit has opened in his community, which means he can have treatment there for 8 weeks at a time.
There's some of the patients here going back home and they've been waiting for the same thing, and it's sort of exciting for them to go back home, for all of us.
After a long journey home, Lachlan Ross is spending precious time with his family.
It feels good to be back here and to be with my family, you know. Of course, we always up there in Darwin for our dialysis.
My kids, they just get happy when they see him coming. We all sit together as a family and talk about things.
Helen Morris has also taken up the chance to visit Lajamanu where she grew up. She's had to move to Katherine for dialysis and was involved in the effort to make the treatment available here.
We lost many of our families in Darwin, and now it's good for them to come back and spend time with family now, at Lajamanu.
21 people from Lajamanu live in major centres like Darwin and Katherine for dialysis. So far, 15 of them have visited home since the new unit opened. They can't live here permanently because the centre can treat only 6 people at a time.
They can come back 4 weeks or 8 weeks like that. They will probably must be get job here with the family support, you know, instead of they sitting in Darwin doing nothing and wasting their life, you know.
We see people who absolutely blossom. They're home with family, they're with their grandchildren, their children. When you're in town, nothing to do, you sit there and cry for home in your hostels. They just want to spend some time with family.
Nurses say there are clear health benefits for the patients.
If you look at it from a strictly clinical perspective, we see blood pressures improved. There's an expression they use, DNA did not arrive, and when folk are away from their families and home, the DNA pops up, did not arrive, did not arrive. Here, we haven't had one DNA in the months we've been open.
The renal unit has been set up with a combination of Commonwealth, territory and community money. The federal government funded the infrastructure and running costs, while the territory provides the dialysis machines. The local Kura Aboriginal Corporation tipped in royalties from gold mines, and the Lajamanu Progress Association donated some of the profits from the local store.
Like, it's been a long time coming for us, and, you know, it's really good now that, like, some of us, like, you know, coming back home visit is really good. Come to see our family, you know, and grandchildren as well, plus to see the country once again, you know, just to feel home again. Yeah.
The previous federal Labor government allocated money to double the capacity of Larjamanu's renal unit, but the territory government said it could not afford the associated operating costs. The new coalition government says it will renegotiate with the territory. Larjamanu is the fourth remote Indigenous community in the Northern Territory to have its own dialysis unit staffed by nurses.
It means that those important people are home teaching their grandkids. You know, this is a real issue for the continuity of and integrity of culture on communities. If senior people are away, they're not there to pass on their cultural heritage.
The 4 clinics are run by the Aboriginal corporation Western Desert Dialysis, that has its headquarters here in Alice Springs. The organisation was formed by the Pintabee people, who auctioned their art to raise funds so they could have their own dialysis unit in Kintore. It's gone on to help Warlpiri people set up their own centres in Yuendamu and Larjamanu, and the Western Arrernte people establish a unit in Hermannsburg.
Other communities heard the story, and so since then we have been asked by a number of communities to help them to get a similar service. So it's a great story of Aboriginal communities helping each other out.
Remote Aboriginal communities in the Territory are grappling with a wave of kidney disease. More than 500 people are on dialysis in the Territory. 93% are Indigenous, the majority from remote communities.
It is preventable. There are issues that arise across the life course, from healthy pregnancy, early childhood, lifestyle issues relating to our diet and exercise patterns, an increase in the number of young people who are overweight and obese, and a rapid increase in the incidence and prevalence of earlier age of people with diabetes.
The old age traditions of being more active, bush tucker, has changed very much to a more of a sedentary lifestyle.
The number of patients is growing by 8% each year.
We are treating more people in the top end in Central Australia, and there isn't evidence to suggest that this problem is going away.
Everyone's got a story to tell about family members who've disappeared to town and never got home except for their own funeral.
Other remote communities have facilities where patients can do their own dialysis. Kidney disease experts say a combination of treatment options is the answer to getting more people back on country.
How can we get more people, for example, on self-care haemodialysis? How can we encourage and use appropriately peritoneal dialysis so that people can learn perhaps a simpler form of dialysis and use that at home? The current example in Larjamanu of nurse-supported dialysis in community, that is a model that we need to roll out in a way that we do it in a staged fashion and carefully look at the costs and benefits. The other key issue I'd like to see addressed is, can we increase access to kidney transplantation and get people who will do well with transplants back to communities?
This is the first time in 4 years that dialysis patient Richard Tasman has been able to spend more than one day back home at Larjamanu.
It's a bit sad to move away from my community, a bit sad. Live up and down now. Yeah, it's quite different, you know, because it's hard to go out hunting in Darwin, like going fishing out in the sea or anything. I don't know anything about that. Coming back home and going out to the desert to hunt kangaroos and turkeys, goannas, it's good, you know, make me feel happy again.
He attributes his kidney problems to alcohol.
I think I was drinking too much. The hot stuffs like rum, Mosel, yeah, that kind of finished now for nearly 4 years now. I don't drink anymore now.
And he wants to warn younger people.
Yeah, especially all the young blokes, drink too heavy stuffs. They take it steady. Look after your body. No smoking them ganjas or even a smoke. So watch out. We don't want to see him up in dialysis.
Lachlan Ross is now employed in a role to help other patients get back on country. He hopes the next generation won't need to leave in the first place.
We try to teach them while they're young and start in the communities instead of they start learning, you know, when they're in the hospital and all that, you know. We try to teach them here first. I always tell the young kids and community people, you know, that to eat proper food and all that.
He's been talking about dialysis and watching and that. How do we look after ourselves?
Don't eat too many sweet stuff, you know, be active, play in sports, don't drink too much alcohol and drugs, stay out of all those bad things.